Hi, welcome to another episode of Fixer Brazil podcast, where we talk to filmmakers, cinematographers, directors, producers, storytellers from all over the world about their experience filming here in Brazil and across the globe. And today our guest is the filmmaker Leer Jones. Leer is a London-based director and director of photography who works at the award-winning branded content agency Raw London. Leer has directed campaigns and films for organizations such as Save the Children and Red Cross, combining cinematic storytelling with powerful human-centered narratives. His work moves between two very different worlds. On one side, high-end commercial productions and TV campaigns. On the other, small documentary crews filming in remote locations across Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Leer, thank you very much for joining Fixer Brazil podcast. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. Good to see you again. Looking forward to a chat. And like I said, I've been going through the other episodes, and it's really cool what we've got going on here. So I'm privileged to be part of it.
Thanks for doing this, and I'd like to start, as I usually do, asking you about the beginning of your career in filmmaking. How did you first enter the film industry, and what initially attracted you to the filmmaking world?
I was studying music technology at college, and so I was really wanted to get into like music, really, just the scientific, like the microphones and the equipment, recording stuff. I was really interested in that. And at the time I was working as like a carpenter. So we would do extensions, but then on the side we would go and work on like TV sets at a place called Pinewood Studios in the UK, which is a big film studios. So from there it got me, I could see, actually this is kind of like a feasible thing. You could see the TV shows being made. We'd be out on location building these sets. So it was that was like an eye-opening thing. And I think then I went on holiday to Australia, and I bought like a VHS, like handy cam type camera. And I remember just going to Australia, I think it's for my 18th birthday, and just like filming everything, hours and hours of footage. And I remember coming back and kind of testing out editing software, and then putting music underneath the footage. And that kind of sparked something in me, like being able to see these images and put the music that I wanted underneath. I think that was kind of really excited me. It was like, it gave like so much emotion to the videos and the scenes and stuff like that. So I think that really like spurred me on. And I think from there, I went to university and studied like a very broad media degree, where you learn all different things like film. It wasn't specifically a film degree. We learned like video, we learned something called Flash, which doesn't exist anymore, I don't think. Film theory, so lots of different things, so that was a good push in the right direction. Doing the university course, I mean, it's not a necessity, I'd say, in this day and age, but it was a good push in the right direction. And then in my third year at uni, I bought like a Canon DSLR. Like I'm born out of that 5D era. And that was
many filmmakers like got catching this moment, right? It's super excited. I remember I was kind of watching Philip Bloom videos on Vimeo. Like that was my... Yes, pretty much the same around here.
He was like the gospel at the time. So, it was a really exciting time, very inspired, like all the Vimeo videos and what people were making. And as soon as I got that camera and started doing some test footage, I was just blown away. I was like, wow, this is just incredible. So I made a short film in my last year of uni with that camera. And then I was just kind of working for free. I wanted to film everything just to build a portfolio. And so started working for free, lots of music videos, lots of corporates and things like that. And eventually then you started getting paid for things. I remember my first paid music video. And it just kind of built up and up, like freelancing. I got a job for a friend working on MasterChef when I came out of university. So I was like they call it a tech runner, kind of like a third AC. So I was changing lenses on the cameras and swapping around the tapes and stuff like that. And then I'd take the rushes at the end of the day to the post-production house in Soho. So I worked at MasterChef for like one series, and I learned a lot from the camera guys there, because they're kind of like old school, kind of proper camera guys, as you can imagine. They kind of do each series. They do the big shows like the X Factors and big like high-end entertainment shows. So I learned a lot from them, being out on location. We traveled around the UK doing stuff, got to eat some really good food. So yeah, that was really interesting. I mean, at the time I was still shooting for myself, like on my 5D, and then I remember I have a laptop on set on our down days and was like editing stuff on the side. And I feel like, I feel like television never really felt like the way to go, like these big shows. So then I was just cutting stuff on the side, and I think just as the work started to roll in, I just kind of built up and up and up. So I lost my train of thought then. So yeah, MasterChef was kind of like where I cut my teeth really in terms of like shooting, like self-shooting stuff. So that just gave me the willpower to just be like, I could go out, and I just started like shooting everything. And then eventually I kind of came to this job where I am now, where I'm an in-house director at Raw London. So I saw the job come about, and I was thinking it's kind of what I do now, but it kind of opened some doors to get into some more commercial work for me. I was really stuck in this world of like music videos and corporates and like promo films and this kind of thing, but I really wanted to kind of take it up a notch. So that kind of opened doors for me to get like bigger clients and things like that. So I've been here a while now, so I work a lot across commercials, a lot of the charity sector. I still kind of do the music video work on the side, which is quite nice. I think I have a good balance of where I am at the minute of kind of the work that I do. So that's, I don't know, I just kind of just rambled on there. I don't know if that's anything that's kind of paints a bit of a picture, but basically like you said, it was just born out of that getting a 5D and just going out there and doing it. I think that's like a lot of people, and you really cut your teeth on learning how to shoot, kind of edit, the whole package, I think, because it was so accessible. I feel like you kind of get very disciplined in that whole process, I think.
Amazing. No, it's an amazing trajectory. And you today work like both as director and cinematographer. How did this dual role develop in your career? I mean, you'll talk a little bit about this, but this self-shooting, and also in some jobs you're most focused on directing. So, but they're very complementary, and the self-shooting helps a lot in directing. But tell me a little bit about this dual role that you play.
So I guess like I said, that being born out of that 5D era, you're always kind of shooting, self-shooting, directing. You kind of just figuring out what it is you wanted to do, and I guess I was kind of like forced into that. I would never call myself like a cinematographer. It was always like self-shooting director, I guess. Because when I direct my commercial work, I used to work with like DOPs, and then who would be like obsessing over like light ratios and things like that. And I was thinking maybe that's a side of it that I'm maybe not that capable in. Like I can 3-point light interviews, and documentary was maybe more of the thing that I was more comfortable kind of self-shooting. These big commercials and stuff, I was never really comfortable kind of shooting those myself. So that's kind of the work that I kind of kind of navigated towards, directing these more like glossy commercials where I can work with DOPs that I trust and can just kind of like make amazing images and stuff that I could never do. But then when it comes to more like the documentary style, like case studies, the corporates and stuff where we're kind of in the field, then I feel like I have a good eye, and I can kind of use like the natural light, or I can supplement it using kind of certain lights that we bring down. And I feel like that's kind of where I can be that good cinematographer or self-shooting director in that lane. So I feel like it's naturally taken that progression since I've been in this company anyway, where I've been really lucky enough to have those two different approaches to my work. So it's and I love both. I love being down and like out in the field, getting kind of dirty and kind of hands kind of in it, and really kind of that kind of adventure filmmaking. But then I also love being on set, kind of with the storyboards and really kind of nail down specific shots and working with the actors and trying to get like an emotive performance out of actors. I feel like that is I love doing that and working with these just amazing people, amazing heads of department, and it's such a team effort. Like when you're working with like a big crew and everyone's kind of firing on all cylinders to make this one thing happen. I love that. But yeah, and then on the other side, it could be me and a producer out in the middle of nowhere, just the two of us trying to kind of do the best we can. So I feel like it's just naturally taken that kind of a split route, really, which I kind of I thank myself really lucky for, because I do love that, and doing both. And I don't know the answer to your question.
It's a good balance that you found, and you can work that really well.
Yeah, it's great, because when I do work on the commercial work with directors of photography, I can relate, and I can have that language with them. I kind of understand, like having a bit of shooting background, I can kind of speak to them on a different level. I guess it's the same when I work with with editors, because I have that experience. I've cut a lot of commercials that I work on, and have been for years. So I feel like knowing them basis, you can kind of communicate on a really good level that kind of just makes the whole process a bit smoother and understand each other and things like that. So yeah,
gotcha.
It's quite helpful.
Very interesting. And your work often focus on human stories, like particularly around the social issues and humanitarian themes. Where does that interest come from? Is something that you are looking for, or Raw, where you work, Raw in London, is more focused in? How does it happen?
Kind of both, really. But yeah, I mean, the agency that I work for, very much kind of human-centric stories. We work a lot in the third sector. We work with a lot of charities. So everything is really kind of that honest kind of truth that we're kind of trying to put out there. But for myself, I've always kind of been interested in them human stories. Even in kind of like music videos, I'd always kind of want to kind of tell a story about kind of people or certain relationships, whether that's like, I don't know, father-daughter relationships, or just relationships between friends. I was always trying to communicate that in my narrative music video work. So yeah, so when approaching kind of these, really a lot of the time we deal with kind of a lot of serious kind of topics. So very kind of versed in telling those with lots of sensitivity, and I feel like the charity sector, where a lot of our work is, generally lends itself to those really human kind of stories and stuff, which I love telling. And I feel like that's going back to the kind of the more commercial work, and also the self-shooting documentary work. I feel like I like to kind of bleed the two together. It's kind of, we could be shooting a commercial where we've kind of got real case studies, and we've taken them and we kind of written them into this narrative. So we're telling real stories, but through actors. And like, so what you're seeing on the screen is kind of real life, but just portrayed through actors. Where then on the documentary side, we're kind of in people's homes, and it's like kind of firsthand. So those just human emotions, the human connections, is what I love telling. It's I mean, like when we were shooting in Brazil, just being in, hearing other people's stories kind of firsthand, it's so like, it's mind blowing to me still, just to sit there and interview someone for an hour and hear their stories, and it's it's incredible. I feel like that. Yeah, that's definitely kind of where I've kind of drawn to, these really raw, honest human stories, really.
Yeah, and when you approach a projects like this, like the one we did, we're gonna see some behind the scenes later, dealing with these sensitive subjects, whether healthcare, poverty, humanitarian. What is the most important things for you as a filmmaker approaching these stories, approaching like on the field, and also when you turn this into a film or a video?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, it's all about the contributor. Like, even for when we're in the pre-production for something like this, the sensitivity surrounding the contributor and putting their kind of welfare first is just the top priority above any kind of film that we're making. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of, that's always number one. We'll do like kind of research calls with them to make sure they're kind of comfortable with the topics that we're dealing with. And with every step of the journey, we kind of take them on, really. We're just trying to let them know what we're doing and kind of how we're doing it, and just making sure their welfare is kind of at the top of the list. so that's kind of like pre-production, and then the same again. We just kind of carry that through on the ground. When we get to the ground, we'll be working with like yourselves, like fixers or someone from the client's team will be there, and just every step of the way, it's making sure that they're just as comfortable as possible, and not in a space where they're gonna. I feel like if you're interviewing someone and they're not in a space where they want to share, like you need to build that rapport with the contributor and make them kind of comfortable and willing to share their story, and that's kind of what you want really. You want them to tell their honest truth, and I feel like if you give the honest truth to them, then they're just going to give you that back. So I feel like there's that kind of shared connection. And I think and then carrying that through into post really, just not kind of putting words in people's mouths. You want to tell the story as they're saying it, which is, I think that as a filmmaker, you have that responsibility. I know there's a lot of kind of, in films, there are kind of, you do have to fabricate these moments in like B-roll and things like that. But I think when it comes to, when you're telling someone's story, you need to kind of keep that honest and true to the real story, which is kind of something that we have always done here. I feel that that's kind of priority. So that, the priority is always the contributors at the end of the day. I mean, the story is kind of second to that, really.
Mm-hmm. And one of the clips that you sent to me, that one of your recent projects is this with the Hospice Care, right? Campaign for Hospice UK, which received some awards. And so this is a very emotional subject. How did you direct performance and build the visuals that are so powerful, but in a still respectful and authentic way, like you said? So we have an example here. Let's have a look at the video, and you can tell me a little bit how you approached this.
This was kind of a recent campaign that's just it's just running now in its second year, the TV commercial. So as I mentioned earlier, this is kind of, we pulled real case studies from stories across hospices, various hospices around the UK, these nice kind of human stories, and we kind of broke it down, knowing that we could only focus on kind of 3 of these kind of characters. And we kind of found these nice touching moments, and we're just kind of weaving them in to build this narrative. So once we had that kind of secured, and we felt like it kind of showed the breadth of hospice care, like we wanted to kind of show as much as we can in such a short space of time. But hospices do so much kind of work, so we really had to kind of lean it down to kind of really what we wanted to show, and the hospices care at home, and the hospices care in hospices, and then also kind of hospice care that's something you don't expect, like the guy on the motorbike, and he's leaving the hospice and he's come to get his physio. It's kind of all these different kind of things. I mean, the overarching thing was like, we were trying to show the side of it that you don't expect, that hospices can be a bright, happy places, even though it's kind of places where people go to kind of at the end of their life. It's kind of it's a very sad topic, but they are kind of, we wanted to show that they are kind of full of joy. And like with the birthday party scene with the young girl, there's kind of lots of positivity in there, and the family around the bed, there's lots of like joy and kind of lots of kind of like positivity there. And also, I mean, on the flip side, we do have to show that it is kind of hard. It is, we have the mum with the daughter who's kind of tearing up and seeing her daughter on the bed with her friends, and it's kind of hard hitting, like, especially when you're on set and you're seeing all the actors do that. It is hard. We had the mother, the lady playing the mother, when she started tearing up, it is so powerful. People watching it on the monitors are kind of tearing up, and this goes back to what I love about working with actors. Kind of when you see that on set, it's kind of like, it's just amazing. The feeling of seeing an actor kind of perform that on set for the first time, once you've kind of been talking about it for months, and seeing it kind of unfold on set is like magic. It's very incredible. And like seeing we had a lot of kids on set as well, so kind of working them was super fun, trying to kind of get them into the narrative. And I mean, as chaotic as it was, that's always fun. But I feel like it's kind of the balance is kind of, we are talking about this kind of serious subject, and everyone's on the same page about it. I feel like on this shoot, because there was moments of the kind of the joy, and then balance with these kind of moments of sadness. I feel like it was, as long as everyone knows what page you're on and what we're kind of dealing with at the same time. Like if this is a sensitive scene, then the people, the crew, everyone's going to be honed on, and that's the kind of the emotion we want to get from this, and give the
Yeah,
actors the
and
space to give the
uh-huh.
actors the space to do that.
Yeah, no, everyone, I mean, you directing and also the actors, you made it, because when I watched it was very kind of the word I can say like is like mixed feelings. I was very happy, but at the same time, I knew what's going on, and but it's very touching, and it's in the acting. It's very sometimes. It's very minimal, but you accomplish that. I think that's why you got this prize for this, because it's really difficult like to tell this story with actors. I mean, and being sensitive enough, all the camera work, everything, and the acting of all of them. I think it was amazing. I want to play this behind the scenes that you sent me, and then you can comment a little bit more about the production that you had.
Yeah, so this is behind the scenes on the hospice shoot again. So this is just some behind the scenes clips. So here we are working with the bedroom scene. I'm just trying to think what to say really. Yeah, I mean, again, we shot this over 2 days. We used a real hospice location for one of the days, and then the other day we were kind of split between another hospice and a house. So super tight, super tight schedule, kind of slim kind of crew, and it was kind of, I mean, the fact that the second day we had to do a location move. I mean, location moves are always kind of tricky, so I think the scheduling was kind of pretty key for this. But yeah, so this is working in the gym scene. This is kind of the scene that kind of shows that the hospice care isn't just kind of people on their deathbeds. There is kind of another arm to it. This is Kedrick, our amazing DOP, who I have a good collaborative working relationship with. Shot everything on the easy rig, kind of handheld, to give it that real kind of almost like a cinematic kind of documentary type feel. That was, and it just enables us to move really fast, kind of like you would on kind of shooting out in the field. It kind of gives that angle to it. A great Sam there, our gaffer from Cine Light, who we work with quite often. Amazing team, as you can see, working their magic there.
In 2 days of shooting, you had to do everything, to capture everything.
Yeah, 2 days. I think we broke it down pretty well. We had like the main bulk of the shooting in this hospice that we had free reign of. They were so accommodating as well. It was a brilliant, such a nice place to work. But it was a working hospice, so the kind of some of the corridors where we were filming, the rooms were occupied by people and families. So we kind of had to really, I mean, going back to the issue of like sensitivity, that was kind of like, again, number one. It's kind of like these
Yeah.
people are using this hospice. It's a working hospice. There's people in there that are at the end of their life with their kind of loved ones around them, and then we're kind of outside, like 20, 30 people filming a commercial. So we had to get kind of their blessing to make sure it was okay. And everyone was really so nice and really on board, really kind of interested in what we were doing. So again, like the sensitivity surrounding this stuff is key. It's really key. So that was just a really nice experience. I mean, everyone on the crew, everyone we work with, everyone behind the scenes is so nice. I think that's what's so important on jobs like this, when you're dealing with these kind of sensitive subjects. Working with people that are compassionate and just want to do a good job and can understand how to communicate with other people well is key. I think that's why we try and use a lot of reuse the same crew on certain jobs. It's once you find that working relationship, whether it's like director DOP or even just heads of department, I feel like once you've kind of worked on a few of those sensitive jobs and you understand that everyone gets the brief and everyone's on the same page and everyone gets kind of the respect. And I mean, that's the way it should be, regardless of being on like a sensitive charity job or a crazy music video or a corporate or everything. I think every crew should have that kind of respect. I've been lucky in my career that I haven't really encountered any kind of really negativity, but I think that's kind of very important for crews working wherever you're working in the world. I guess that's
Right.
the number one thing.
And how does your experience, like in the documentary world, filming like in Africa or South America, helps you directing and coordinating this crew on a set like this?
Yeah, I think it's just being willing to, when you're out shooting a documentary, and like I said, like you said, I do a lot of work with NGOs and done a lot of work out in East Africa, really kind of dealt with like kind of poverty and loss. Kind of we've worked with a lot of charities who specialize in kind of dealing with loss, and you hear some heartbreaking stories and people telling you kind of face to face like these really hard moments that you can't even imagine. So I think hearing them firsthand from people and then kind of trying to translate them to the actors, and again, I've been lucky enough to work with some great actors on these commercials, and I think it's just relaying the information and finding the core of kind of like the scene or the script, and kind of simplify it like this, whether that's one emotion or the one hook for the scene, and just trying to really kind of take, I think it's come back to the human thing. I think just taking those emotions, human emotions, and just kind of trying to relay them. So I guess that's kind of like the crossover. But I just feel like when you are on them documentary type jobs, you're always absorbing kind of the energy from people that you interview, and them stories kind of really stick with you. I feel, and it's just kind of being able to communicate that to actors and even to the crew and to the client beforehand, those emotions, I feel like is is key. And I think what we do here at Raw, like I said, we've done a lot of those kind of more sensitive topics, like for years and years now. I think it just naturally kind of bleeds into the more commercial work we do. It's like an ethos, I guess. But yeah, it's just, again, coming back to sensitivity and that human stories. It's interesting. I think it's because on one hand you have this raw emotion of the documentary world where you're kind of seeing it firsthand, and then you're kind of almost kind of pulling that and just trying to kind of recreate that on screen with an actor and a crew of 20, 30 people around. So it's I think that's what fascinates me, and I think that's why also when you see that performance from the actor on set, and it's kind of when you feel it or when you see it on the monitor, I feel like that's when you see it come to life and it feels real. It's that's why it's just such a magical moment when you see that kind of come to life, and it's very, very special.
Nice. And I can tell you, for example, the other clip that you sent to me, the Save the Children Hunger commercial. When I watched it, I saw, these people like around the world, they had to go there and film all these people. But then you sent me the behind the scenes that it was produced using like virtual production technology. So I was amazed because I was not expecting that. I didn't know.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. That was always the aim, but this was kind of my first kind of venture into the whole world of virtual production. Like I said, we've done a lot of work I've done a lot of work out in the field on assignments for Save the Children, a lot out in East Africa in them kind of quite hostile environments, and in floodlands, following kind of families around, and in like really dry kind of arid landscapes. So I've kind of done that side of things. And for this job, they wanted to kind of, the stories they wanted to show were so kind of diverse, and our budget didn't allow to fly around and doing all these different places with the crew, and in terms of kind of wanting to be a bit more kind of green with it and tell these stories and not kind of fly around the world kind of capturing these things. So that's why we kind of went for the virtual production approach. But like I said, it was a massive learning curve because we shot this kind of maybe 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. Okay. So yeah, massive learning curve. So we basically wanted to tell 3 stories, 3 different children. One was kind of based out in Kenya, one was in Ukraine, one was in Bangladesh, I believe. So I mean, pre-production wise, we knew it had to be kind of accurate as possible. So we kind of pulled reference images from these places in Kenya, in Ukraine, reference images to kind of build these worlds. And then we had to build the background plates for the virtual production. So that was a whole other kind of area that we had to kind of dabble in. It was kind of Unreal Engine at the time, the Unreal Engine 5 or something, where we had to design and build these worlds from the elements that we showed them. So when we're on the stage and the camera moves around, the background kind of tracks, and it's all very technical, very amazing. So just getting that was very, very tricky. For instance, but when you're on set with the virtual production, for instance, we had the Kenya backdrop, which is very dry, kind of like the desert kind of backdrop. But then on the stage, they can literally drag the sun and they can move the sun around the stage and the lighting changes. It was amazing. To feel that firsthand was good. But to get to that point where we had the backgrounds in a good place took a while, because we were navigating we worked with different designers and we were trying to figure out the best things to do. And it just took a lot of figuring out, really. And also the kind of work in the art department into the set as well. We had like grass in front of the camera to give that depth. So it took a lot of testing out and working out which lenses kind of felt real on camera. Anything too wide kind of gave the game away a bit. Anything too long felt too soft. So it's kind of finding that balancing act of we want to see a bit of the foreground with like the grass blowing. We want to see the background, and it was tricky. The scene in Ukraine I felt was really good. That's where we dressed like a Ukrainian bunker. That was probably one of my favorite ones. For the one in Bangladesh, we actually built this kind of constructed kind of shelter, and in the background we just played a video for that one. We didn't have at the time it was very hard to get realistic water effects, and this was like a floodland. So we ended up just using a video for that one, and through the gaps in the shelter you can see kind of the video clip. So that was kind of a compromise on that one. But yeah, it's amazing to see that technology firsthand. I know it's kind of people use it a lot, but I don't think it's this kind of get out of jail card. There's a lot of limitations, I think, to using it. And I know the big Hollywood productions and stuff use it to, but I feel like you really need to know the limitations and kind of work with it. Gotcha. So that job was a big learning curve. And I think it turned out well. I mean, that, and then we're working with these young kind of child actors who are all speaking in different kind of like different languages. So we had to get a script and we would do that, and then on top of kind of the set changes and stuff. So it was a busy. I think we shot that in a day. We had a pre-light day where we tested out the backgrounds, and we could tweak the backgrounds when they threw them up on the wall. We could kind of change stuff and move trees around and things like that, and we can move the lighting around and things like that. Then we had to match the lighting on set, dress the set, and things like that. And then so we had all that kind of locked in on the pre-light, and then when we got to production on the day, it was very, very busy. But again, it saved us from flying around to 3 different countries with crew and trying to do all that. So it's it's I haven't found a job yet where I've needed to do virtual production. But I'm kind of now it was kind of so I got after the trauma of doing it for the first time. I think I'm ready to jump back into the saddle and do something, because it's a great tool to use, I think. So yeah, I mean, have you done anything yourself, virtual production wise? Is that kind of a thing out in? I'm sure you have virtual production studios out in kind of Sao Paulo.
Yeah, in Brazil, I think we have one in São Paulo, one place that you can do something like that, but it's still evolving here. We have already seen a couple of productions made here in this studio. There is Full Cine. Full Cine is a kind of new place where they provide full solution. They have studios, they rent gear, they provide crews, they have everything. At Full Cine, they have a very good stage and studio like that. But I have been there only to get the gear and go to the documentary, to Boa Vista we did, to rent the gear and go to the documentary shootings. And talking about that, I wanted to switch gears about this, because from the commercial or the studios to the fields of the world. In 2023, a couple of years ago, we traveled together when you came with Raw here to Brazil, to Boa Vista, in the state of Roraima, in the Amazon region. Was it the first time you came to Brazil that time? Or even before?
I mean, I had stepped my foot over the border when I was in Colombia, but I don't think you can really count that. My first time in Brazil.
Yeah, and you're shooting this kind of short documentary, because I consider that a short documentary. It's very beautiful for Van Leer Foundation.
A maternidade ela é uma coisa assim que, como é que eu posso dizer? Que, assim, é uma coisa assim tão única que eu não tenho assim palavras para poder definir o tão imenso e tão grande que é ser mãe.
Let's have a look at some footage and you can tell me a little bit about what was going on. So this is Boa Vista, capital of Roraima state in the north of Brazil. You came with Blessing, one producer, and I joined you as a fixer. And for this you were like working as a self-shooter, one-man band, and I was assisting you with some lights and some stuff. There was a translator. And to tell, because in Boa Vista it's a very childhood friend city here, and there was a project there, the Leer Foundation helps to finance, and then we're telling the stories of two mothers and their children. So this is the city is very interesting. It was my first time also in Boa Vista. There you are in the heart of the of the sign. So for this you were like by yourself and with the producer and me, 3 people, and doing all the job. It's a very different approach. How does it work for you, your mindset?
Yeah, very different, but super exciting. It's yeah, I mean, I've done, like I said, lots of work like this where we travel, just me, fixer, producer. So yeah, we oh, look at the little baby.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
cute.
normally we travel with kit, but in this instance, I think this was the first time that I'd kind of hired in kit. So we flew into Sao Paulo where we met you, and we kind of hired the kit, and we kind of flew north, which was great to test the kit in Sao Paulo and kind of do it that way. It just saved us kind of a lot of any carnets or kind of anything like that where we're traveling with kit. So that was a great experience. And yeah, with 2 camera setup. I think we shot on the FX9 for the A cam, and then some sort of a Sony DSLR for the B cam.
Correct.
And yeah, and then we had 2 zoom lenses, I think, Sony zoom lenses, just in terms of speed.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just kind of take it in. So yeah, everything was kind of handheld, as you can see there. Surprisingly stable. That looked kind of wobbly, but the footage kind of came back quite stable. I think that maybe there's some built-in stabilizer, and I think we had like one or 2 lights there with the softbox for like interviews. Yeah, I think that what I love about kind of locations like this and being out in the field is kind of just trying to figure out how to make it work. Like you're stuck with like your limitations. Remember lighting that interview, and we were kind of in a dark room, but then blazing sunshine outside, and just trying to kind of figure out the best way to do stuff. I thought that's what I love, kind of doing it, using the tools that you have, and just kind of trying to figure it out. I mean, all these interior shoots, just lots of lovely crew and interview and lovely people. The foundation works on initiatives to kind of progress kind of early childhood development between like kind of pregnancy and kind of 5-year-olds. So this program was called Urban 95, where the foundation worked with kind of the mayor and urban planners to try and make Boa Vista kind of a more early childhood kind of friendly kind of place, which is incredible to see the parks they have there and the initiatives with kind of like mothers and caregivers. It's incredible work that they do. So it's great to see that side of it. And again, I guess we were interviewing people that kind of really had these more kind of like the facts behind the initiatives. So we interviewed we had the mayor and the workers there who were giving us a really kind of detailed information about the project. But then we had the 2 families where we have back to that kind of human story, which is kind of what I love to kind of tell. So I think in the overall piece, it's kind of balancing that really raw kind of human element from the families and their experience, and I mean, it's so touching, the things they were saying and the things that they've gone through, and then balancing that with actually this is a film that kind of needs to kind of get attention, to kind of get more funding and to make people more aware, and for that you need these kind of to be backed up by the facts from like the mayor and the people that have a bit more power there. So it's this balancing act in the edit of trying to kind of get that nice human emotion story, and then also like really like the facts in there to really kind of to get the story to do what it needs to do, really. So it's yeah, a great balancing act. But I mean, shooting here was just a dream. It was just so nice, and we worked very closely with the team from the city who took great care of us, showing us the local kind of food and things like that, and just giving us access to like this tower there where we shot, where we got those nice kind of views from. Like I said earlier, I think when everyone is working towards like a shared goal, wanting to make the best film possible, I feel like that's when the work kind of, the work is always kind of, the end result is always great if everyone's on the same page. But I mean, I will add, having you there as kind of fixer, and also kind of someone who knows the way around camera and lights, was kind of invaluable. I've been in situations like that where it has really just been me and a producer and maybe like a client or a kind of fixer who doesn't have that kind of experience in the kind of the tech or the kind of the lighting and things like that. So that was a game changer, really, just being able to kind of leave you to kind of set up cameras or pack down tripods, set up lights, and even the drone footage in this film is incredible, and that was kind of down to you, really, you being able to separate yourself from us when we were doing B-roll or interviews, and being able to go and capture that amazing drone footage, which kind of what opens the film, and it's kind of, you're instantly like kind of stuck in there. So that was a game changer for us, really, being able to do that. So that's that was made a massive difference, being able to kind of just, I can concentrate on one thing and knowing that other things are happening around, and with your expertise, just knowing that that's going to kind of go smoothly. So that was a massive help. And just enabled us to move through the days quicker and just not have that worry. I mean, that's why I think I was able to buy up so much time to kind of maybe compose the shots and try out certain things, because I knew that kind of I had you by my side kind of helping out with those things. So yeah, that's very invaluable.
No, I was very happy also when I saw the film with the drone shots, but you gave me the directions, I remember, so I have to share that with you. You said, I need this, I need that, top shots and the river and established shots and everything. But it was a pleasure to contribute also with the drone shot, which is something that I usually offer to the clients here, because sometimes like bring the drone to Brazil is okay, you just import like any other gear, but getting the permits to film, sometimes it's tricky, like the bureaucracy, documentation, everything. So I usually offer the services for flying the drone. And talking about the equipment, how do you usually choose the gear that you're gonna for each project? Like for projects like this, you already mentioned like the A and B camera, 2 cameras, just very little lighting, just to, if you need, and work a lot of natural lighting. It's a lot of the restrictions that you have by being only yourself and not have a gaffer or assistants, but then you have to figure out the best gear to use.
Yeah, I think I've always shot on kind of Sony cameras since kind of after the 5D. I kind of navigated to the A7S, I think it was, and then onto the FS7. So I've been in that Sony world for a while, and just feel very comfortable with it. It feels like just like an extension of my arm. Sometimes I feel like you having that is a bonus. And like started to use I never used to use the autofocus features on like the FX9 or the FX6 as much, but now having shot since we did this job and on other jobs, the autofocus has become, I mean, it's incredible that how it's changed over the years. I think that, especially for documentary stuff, when you can lock on to someone, if you're following them and not having a focus puller on stuff like this, and where you're kind of running around following someone, just being able to kind of do autofocus to lock on and follow them around, I think is another game changer for me anyway. Being like a one-man band,
makes our lives much easier to focus on the framing and following the character, and don't have to be worried as much with the focus, right? So it makes your mind free to take care of other important things of the framing and everything, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and and like the variable NDs as well. That's becoming, especially shooting kind of a lot of exteriors.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the autofocus, being able to flick it back into manual to be able to just get those like kind of more stylized shots when you want to focus on something else, and everything's just really smooth and easy with the Sony. So and being able to have the audio kind of plugged into the camera and kind of monitor it at the same time. Feels very smooth. The ergonomics of the camera feel great. It's not too heavy. So yeah, I think the Sony's the way to go for this. And then normally I have like 2 zoom lenses to kind of cover all the range. I think it might have been like a 24 to 70 or an 18 to something, and then a 70 to 200. And that's it really. I mean, I've traveled around with a backpack with just that kit in really before, when I've done jobs in like kind of running around refugee camps and stuff and trying to smuggle in the kit. We've kind of had that in a backpack.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the go-to. And then the Sony DSLR, the A7. I think now I've used FX3 since then as more of a B cam. Because it had problems, especially in Boa Vista with the heat. I think sometimes them smaller cameras can overheat, which I remember happening once or twice during the interviews. So I think since then I've gone on to the FX3. But yeah, those are kind of the 2 main things. And I think that you can match the colors pretty well between those, shooting on S-Log3 Cine on the FX6 and the FX9. And then S-Log2, I think it was, on the A7. But yeah, we managed to match them up. And then yeah, just a big fan of them aperture lights, the big softbox. I mean, you can get by. I mean, from my experience and of being on location, you can get by with just one big kind of softbox, really, or with an egg crate on it. And then I think we had some negative fill potentially, depending on the location. Just being able to create that contrast. We shot these kind of interviews like center framed, kind of lots of kind of headroom to try and put like a bit of a different look. Well, I say different, a lot of people do it now, but just something a bit different than the normal kind of 3/4 interview, I guess. So that was it really. And then that's kind of like, I don't think we had a backlight. I think we might have had a small LED handy, but yeah, that was kind of it really. I feel like those big soft sources kind of just look great with a bit in the negative fill, I think. And just using the natural light where possible. So I think it is traveling super light. I think mics, we just used kind of a couple of some lav mics, I think. Not sure if we had a boom overhead. I'm not too sure. Sometimes
that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a boom. Yeah. That's not, and that's just incredible. And I still kind of shoot, like if I'm shooting kind of jobs like that now, that's kind of exactly how I do it. Yeah, I think it's a great little package there to kind of be a really lean crew and a lean kit. And I think it gets the job done. I'm not sure what drone I can't remember what drone you were using, but the images look great. I've got a little. I think I've got the first Mavic drone, which is so dated now that I kind of need to upgrade. But yeah, the drone images look good.
Yeah, I think it was the Mavic 2 Pro with the Hasselblad camera. It was the first one that came with the Hasselblad, very good. Now I have I'm flying more with the Mavic 3 Air 3S, which is I always have these small drones. It's very easy to take it anywhere. Perfect. Yeah. And what kind of stories are you most interested in telling in the future? You have any personal projects?
I think I write a new script every other week and tear it and throw it away. A new short film that falls by the wayside. I mean, I'd love to. I mean, once we filmed the Boa Vista film. And working with the children and everything like that, we shot a second part in Ethiopia last year, and in between those 2 jobs, I became a dad. So it was interesting to see like before I didn't even know I was having a child when we shot the Boa Vista film, and then shooting the second part in the series, As You Wish, in Ethiopia after becoming a dad. That was very interesting to see. So I think I'm on this whole fatherhood journey. So something kind of around, I'd love to kind of dabble into fatherhood. I think that's kind of an interesting area where I'd like to kind of maybe pick up some more personal projects, whether that's going to be in short form kind of narrative. It's kind of where I'm leaning towards. But yeah, that's kind of my interest at the minute, is trying to get some personal projects underway. I think it's interesting when we were speaking about the whole 5D era. I think back to that time, and when you had so much passion for anything, was like a passion project, and just being able to shoot anything. And I feel like I need to kind of light that fire again for things like that. I think you can get too bogged down in kind of the commercial work and things like that, and making sure everything needs to be big and kind of the best it can be, when I think sometimes just grabbing a camera and going out and doing little things, or trying this out, or doing some experimental stuff, is feel like where this year I'm trying to lean into more of that. I mean, I don't know if it's the same with you. Do you kind of pick up the camera and do any kind of like passion projects and things like that?
Yes, I agree 100% with you in both subjects. I mean, the beginning of the digital 5D, kind of 5D, when you wanted to make like everything cinematic and tell stories, and also the fatherhood, because I have two daughters. They are 13 and 10 years old, almost now this year. They're 12 and 9, but for me they're already 13, and you know, time flows so fast. You're gonna realize that as well. But yeah, I think I have my own YouTube channel where I upload some personal content, sometimes about filmmaking, sometimes about family, and sometimes trying to make it all together, and philosophical things that I'm interested in. But it's just like not commercial work, you know. It's just fulfilling this experience of filmmaking, but not only for the commercial world. So it's interesting. I think you should do it, even if it's like writing a script and try to make it happen, like, because financially it's challenging, you know, to make films in any time. But yeah,
I think it's just finding something that you feel so strong. I mean, sometimes I get envious of people that find something in their life where this is what I want to make. This is my thing. So sometimes it's finding that kind of really thing you're just deathly passionate about, and would go to any lengths to make it happen. I feel like once you find that connection, then you're just kind of, that's it. Then it's kind of like end game, really. So it's kind of maybe discovering within myself what that thing is, and I feel like slowly kind of getting there. So I think with real purpose, kind of like a lot of the work that I do that has kind of a lot of purpose in these human stories, I feel like it's leading that way. But yeah, that's the watch this space.
Amazing. And I have a final question. We are coming towards the end of the episode, and I want you to give some advice for the young filmmakers, like, who want to work both in the commercial filmmaking or in documentary storytelling. So usually people say, just grab a camera, make a movie, because today is so easy with the iPhone, CapCut and DaVinci Resolve for free, and so many stuff that when we started it was much harder. But I mean, all the tools are here, but so many stories to tell. What else is needed for someone who wants to become a filmmaker?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, obviously that's the go-to answer, isn't it? It's just, you can just grab a camera and cut it on a laptop or on your phone. I feel like this day there's so much, I mean, I hate the word content, but I mean, there's so much stuff out there at the moment that I feel like it's just being true to your kind of yourself and what you want to do, I think. And I mean, it's easy to see really cool work and kind of, I mean, I do all the time, see something really cool and be like, oh, I'm going to try that in my next piece of work, or I want to try this. But I feel like, I mean, I'm trying to force it upon myself as well. So it's advice to myself as well, is to kind of consume not just film, but kind of, I don't know, art, stories, and let that bleed into your film work, I think, and kind of, and have ideas born from stuff, and have not just ideas that you're taking from stuff that you're seeing in like moving image, but kind of from like exterior or like kind of things, I guess. I think that's kind of what I'm trying to tell myself. So yeah,
I did an interview with Christian Dimitrios. He's a Brazilian. You should watch this already on air. Wildlife filmmaker, cinematographer, very good Brazilian. And he told me that he's getting inspiration for his new wildlife film projects from arts and from books, from other stuff. It's similar to what you were saying. So I just wanted to connect to this.
Yeah. I mean, I've been to some talks before, and people have said the same thing. I feel like I've heard before that you need to consume things that you not necessarily enjoy all the time, just so you have that perspective. Like just consume as much as you can. But yeah, I feel like there's so much, especially with social media and Instagram and all this stuff. I think like images are just everywhere. These really great, beautiful images are everywhere. And especially with all the AI stuff, everyone's trying to make these cinematic AI images. So I feel like with that comes the story is going to be king going forward with the rise of that. So I feel like having a very unique viewpoint and a unique story, I think, is going to shine through. I think those unique human stories.
All right. So Lee, thank you so much for joining this episode. I think it was very interesting to hear your perspective of filmmaking, your experience in the film world. So I hope that we have a chance to work together in the future. If not, if you come to Brazil with your family for tourism, don't hesitate to connect. And if I go to Europe also, I'll reach out.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, it's been great. And thanks again for having me on. And yeah, keep the great work going.
Okay, thank you so much and see you soon in the future.
Nice one.
Amazing. Thanks.